Good morning. Just finished up mowing the entire property. Started at 4 a.m. this morning, finished around 8:30. Just got mower all washed up. It was pretty wet, dirty out. Got my new lights installed, aiming back. This was my blind spot. This is the dark side, so every time I wanted to go make a turn, I could not see down over there. And I'm really liking this mowing in the dark, early morning, kind of before all the kids get up. And I feel like I'm utilizing my time a little bit better. And then I'm done once they're up. And just got back to the house, cleaned up, had some breakfast. Now we are on to the project for today. Our broiler chickens are now just about 3 weeks old. And 3 weeks old is typically the time you send them outside. You get them out of the brooder, you get them in the open grass, the bugs, the nature, all that kind of good stuff. It is still a little cold out. It was this morning mowing, the grass blades were actually frozen and it was like 28 degrees. It was freaking cold, but here, probably about another week, I'd say we'll be able to get them out. They're starting to grow so fast that their little feathers can't keep up with them, and their skin on the inside is kind of being exposed. They kind of now are starting to look like little mutant monster things. So I really wanted to make sure that the temps aren't too cold for them, but today we're actually building them their little chicken trailer cover roof thing. And I am banking on building this thing with no new materials. I got my leftover 2x4s from previous projects. We got our tin outside for the roof. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I have enough to make what I need. The only thing I did purchase was a new pair of these wheels so it can be mobile. This is the only thing I had to purchase, 2 of those. And what I think I'm gonna do is I already unloaded the top half of all the tin. They're all the small little cutoffs from previous projects, and now I'm down to the full, I think they're 11-foot lengths. And I'm gonna lay a few sheets out and see kind of what size we end up looking at, because I do know 2x4 wise, I do have 2 12-foot 2x4s, and it looks like there's 4 8-foot 2x4s. So I am a little limited on the size of what I can do. But I do feel that'll give me a pretty good size roof that I'm gonna need. That should be enough size for the amount of chickens we have. Here is our tin. I'm gonna pull it out right here and just lay it on the ground. These are each 3 feet wide. So I'm kind of thinking 3 of these side by side give us 9 feet wide and maybe 8 feet deep. Man, that's massive. So I already know I'm not gonna be able to go 9 feet wide, but what I'm gonna do is probably bring out those few 2x4s, lay them out right on top of the tin, and just get a good visual of what I'm working with here. You know what, I'm wrong. I got 6 8-foot 2x4s. And it'll be something like this. Pretty sure these 12-footers are gonna be pretty darn warped, but I think we'll make them work. So something like that. and that. I'm gonna want these sticking out. If I could go 2 feet, that'd be kind of nice. And that will allow for a spot to walk into, pick up the handle part, and be able to walk it. So what I got with this tin is it has pre-existing holes. So I'm trying to figure out where I need to place some of these 2x4s in order to cover all the holes. But I think this is gonna be just about perfect. I'll have one here, and we still have one at the end. That's pretty darn close. Okay, at least it gives me a good visual. So we're looking at just over 8 feet. Plus the 2x4. Yeah, we're looking at, I mean, it's almost 100 inches. I mean, basically it's 8 feet. 8 feet by 10 feet, because we have the 2 feet in front that's not gonna be covered. So we got about an 80 square foot coverage. And I'm gonna have 50 chickens, so it's about, a foot and a half, a little bit more than a foot and a half per chicken. And this is only going to be for when it's raining, or they are trying to sleep at night, or if there's a predator from above. This is just going to be a standalone roof on wheels, because the rest of the time they're going to be out and about, free ranging, taking in all those insects and food and grass and all that kind of stuff like that. So this is just for protection. So I don't think it has to be any bigger than that. I think it's gonna work pretty good. And it's already huge. So I ran into one problem already. This third piece of tin on this end, the screw holes don't line up with the first 2 pieces. But I found a sheet that will work. So we just gotta drag this one out, bring the new one in. I kind of ruined all that, didn't I? That looks a lot better. Okay, laid everything back out, and I had a problem. I was short one 2x4, so I stole the back one. Brought it up here, and actually I pulled this opening. Instead of 2 feet, I'm gonna go 3 feet. That is excess because I had to line these up with the screw holes. That's where the first set of screw holes are. So I'm gonna cut that excess off, and there'll be a 3-foot gap there for us to get between to pull this thing. And then we're gonna end up basically having an 8-foot long by 8 foot wide, just over 8 feet. So we're looking at a little bit closer to like 64 square feet, which is about 1.25 feet-ish per chicken. Might be a little snug, but I might leave, there's some excess, depending how this all lays out. I might be able to leave the excess on, gain us a few more inches around it, gain a few more square feet. But I think due to what we have on hand to make this work, this is what we're gonna make. Now, since I have everything already basically laid out, I figured I'm just gonna do all of my screwing and attaching right here on the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and pre-drill I'm gonna pre-drill everything pretty much. Make sure I get a good attachment for everything. figured I'd kind of get both the front and then the first 2x4 attached. Then I can kind of space everything from that. So instead of going down an entire side, pre-drilling and screwing, and then going the other side, I think I'm gonna have to work each 2x4 at a time, because it looks like the screw holes aren't quite perfect, but this way I can pull a measurement, get myself close, and then just verify, make sure that all the existing holes in the tin are underneath this 2x4, because this side is right at 24 inches. That side's like 23 and a half. But I'm gonna hit all the screw holes because I don't want any water leakage, and I think that's gonna be more important. As long as my structure is the same size and shape and it's all square, I really don't think it's gonna matter because I have excess tin all the way around, so I can cut the tin to the final shape. That looks pretty good. That one was right on 24 and a half. This one's about 23 and 5/8. I'm starting to get, this board is really twisted out. So I think I have a C or a giant bar clamp that I can run across here, and maybe I can snug all this up. There we go. That should help pull this in. I think you can see that bow and that gap it's forming. This should take care of a lot of it, almost all of it, I suppose. There we go. Okay, now this one's already set. That clamp is so tight right now, it's putting so much pressure on this board, I can't pull it up to get it flush with the other side. There it went. I think I'm gonna loosen up the clamp. It's a pretty twist over here, so I'm gonna loosen it up, see if I can pull it down this way. So the frame is basically all screwed together now, nice and tight. I have excess 2x4 there, excess metal, excess metal. What I think I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna trace this so I can cut and remove that off there. What I think I'm gonna do back here, I think I'm gonna trace it from here to the end of that 2x4 and leave this chunk here. Just in case I do get another 2x4, I could always stick one more there, and then it gains me another foot of length. So that's another 8 square feet basically right there that will be saving. And I don't think I'm gonna cut it all the way tight to this 2x4. I'm gonna put maybe 1.5 inches of extra. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Gonna use this as my straight edge quick. And I'll probably go, you know what? Just in case I do add a 2x4 in here, I'm gonna go an extra 1.5 inches. That way we are consistent. There we go. There we go. And I built this frame with all of the 2x4s crowning upward. So this is actually the top side. So I'm gonna pull the frame out and off, and then we can do our cuts, and then we can basically just drag the tin right back to the top side of here. All right, and now we cut. Not sure if it can be easier coming back towards me or going away. I feel like dragging backwards might be easier. I did turn the frame and I laid it across here just to kind of help hold everything together, so I can just rip right through all these panels. All right, now for the second side. All right, before I get the tin on, I figured I probably should figure out the wheels. And because I'm gonna leave this overhang on, I gotta kind of figure out what I need to do here in order to hold my wheel on. What I'm thinking about doing is basically just getting a couple 2x4s sitting along here, double stacked, screwed to this, and I would just drill a single hole through the 2x4s, and I would do another set of 2x4s here through that one, and then I can put my nuts and bolts on the end here, and that should hold it, I'd imagine, pretty well. Okay, I found 8 2x4s. Hopefully this is the shortest one here. Oh yeah, 28, so we're good. We got everything we need. 26. Give or take. Get our hard stop in so we can replicate this 8 times. do have my glasses. Well, I thought I had 8, but I only had 6, but I did find a couple more scrap pieces, which look like they'll be long enough. Okay, now technically this is the top side, and I need the bottom side to attach these two, so I need to flip this over. There we go. All right. So my thought, trying to figure out where center was at, because the tin is not centered with the overall structure here because we got the handle up front. So the middle of the tin weight is about here. And so I thought about putting the axles a little bit back here. So as long as I'm spreading across here like that, should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and pre-drill the first one, and I'll use my giant legs. What are these? These are 1/4 inch by 4 inch lag screws straight down into all those 2x4s. And then I can add my next layer on top, and then from there we'll drill our hole through it. Okay, so we have the main 2x4 legged down to the frame with one on each end and one in the center, and then we have the second 2x4 legged through these 2x4s and into the frame. And then I threw a couple of my, what are these, number 9 3-inch deck screws, and kind of ran a few in here just to hold it in place good. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere, so we just got to duplicate this over here, but I got to figure out my spacing. Because I'm going to have this overhang of tin. So if I go I'd say within 8 inches. All right, just like that. That should work. Okay, so I got these on the other side. I've got my giant drill bit. I pulled a mark from 4 inches here over. And this is where I'm going to attempt to drill through both of these in somewhat of a straight line. I'm just going to center them between the two stacked 2x4s. Battery's probably going to die, but we'll get it started. What's up, buddy? Whew, that's hot.
Hi. I bet it's hot. Wow.
That stayed pretty much centered, but now I can carry it on through here and into the next one. There we go. Just like that. Oh, the battery died. Let's see if I have enough in this one. we go. All right, so I got the holes drilled now on both sides all the way through, and I have this thing flipped back over now, so this is the way it's going to be sitting. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and start some of the hardware for this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get the tin on. But now that the top is open, I have access to inside here so I can get my washers and nuts and everything kind of started. Oh, taken care of. And then we can kind of go from there. So to show you what's going on, I have the rod going through, then I have a washer, lock washer, nut, same, and then on the outside, I'll probably end up putting a couple nuts to extend it past the tin, and then your wheel, and then washers and nuts. This all in here is just to help keep everything kind of snug and not pulling, because if these weren't in here, and I pulled from here and here and tried to squeeze or pull, I didn't want any of this moving. So this will help keep this distance nice and there's no extra pressure on there. And I think that'll work. All right, so I got both threaded rods attached. And now we can pretty much just pull the tin up. All right, I think I've got the tin pretty much on there, square and in line. I pulled measurements from every side, the back, and we're pretty much dead on within probably like 1/8 of an inch or so. So I think we are good to start screwing down our first panel. And we'll start on this end. We're just gonna work down and work our way that direction. Okay, so we got all the tin screwed down tight. We're gonna go and throw the wheels on. See if I can get this up. All right, ready? All right, sit there. We'll do this side. Nice.
All right.
Ready? There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we figured out the distance we needed from here to here to keep the wheel from the tin. I've got all the nuts and bolts tight underneath here, and then we actually created a spacer to help keep the wheel itself spaced away from it. All right, the wheel. All right, a washer. Oh, wash it first, buddy. There you go. All right, and same for this side. Okay, wheels are attached. Moment of truth. There we go.
No way. I'm gonna try.
Wanna try it? All right. Try her out. Not too bad?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Should work. About 17 inches. So all I have left now is the front legs to help support the front. Get them attached and we are done. So we got 17 inches from the ground to basically the top of this 2x4. So I need a 17-inch long 2x4, which I have some green treat for that. And then I'll do a little brace. We got her made. All right, green treat. "17 inches. There's the pencil. All right, do a little pre-drill. There we go. All right, cut these double 45s. Should fit just like that. And that'll keep the leg from pushing in or out. So we got about 17 inches of overall height underneath the roof between every 2x4, but we are now 100% done with this build. Pretty light. I like how the back end does not get hung up on the ground when I lift this. I feel like it's a good balance for it. Light enough that my kid could move it around. I think it's gonna serve its purpose very well, but we are done for today. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you all next time. Later.